Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. Izotope is a proud sponsor of today's episode. Do you know about their new RX12? This is the way to make your audio flawless, all-in-one audio restoration. RX's 50-plus tool ecosystem is everything you need to rescue, refine, and enhance every project, blending surgical control with rapid results. Fully flexible, RX12 includes a standalone audio editing application and suite of software plugins to use in digital audio workstations. For decades, RX has pushed what's possible in audio editing and restoration, bringing out magic in every scene, song, and story. Powered by pioneering machine learning tech, it's the supporting star behind countless Oscar, Grammys, Emmys, and the winner of a Technical Academy Award. Go get this for yourself. Izotope RX12. It's out. IZOTPE.com. For 60 years, Heel Sound has provided innovative, professional, quality sound for stage, studio, broadcast, and podcast. Grammy-winning artists and sound engineers worldwide trust Heel microphones for their legendary sound. To find out more about the full line of Heel microphones and products, visit heelsound.com. That's HEILSOUND.com. I'm using a Heel PR40 microphone right now. What's happening? Thank you so much for tuning in to Hyphenate Halftime. This is our wrap-up show we do every Monday, whether you want it or not. Today is Monday, June 1st. Look at us kicking off a new month. And my favorite person to spend the first of every month with was my good friend, Mr. Aaron Farley. How do you do today, Mr. Aaron Farley, on June 1st?
Hello.
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 It was a drive-by fruiting.
Hello.
When was the last time you saw Mrs. Doubtfire?
Definitely watched it with the kids at some point.
Okay.
Because I feel like maybe we watched it once before we went to San Francisco.
Oh yeah, it's a good San Francisco movie.
Drive by and see like the Mrs. Doubtfire house and everything.
Can you see the Full House also? In the beginning of those?
Well, yeah.
Is it the same house?
I feel like we found it because they were into the whatever it was at that point, the new Full House.
Whatever happened to predictability?
Yeah, they were into whatever the newer one was, where the kids were grown up and they had kids.
Oh, okay, yes.
And we're like, oh, I think the Full House is in San Francisco. So we're looking it up, and then it also, I feel like then goes like, oh, are you looking for the Full House? Well, then you should also look for the Miss Doubtfire.
There you go. In the same area. That's awesome.
How we figured it out. But yes, we took a lot of time trying to find the Full House, and then there's a bunch of signs. They're like, do not park in front of the Full House. Yes, this is the Full House. Get along with it. Get on with it.
DJ Tanner's not here right now. You can take a photo and keep moving.
It was only shot from the outside. They never actually shot the show here. It's only
do not break into our house. That's amazing. Right. I feel like LA's got so many good locations for that kind of stuff.
You know so much about that. I loved even being at your house once when we were shooting.
Oh, right.
We're shooting
stuff
for Soundfield, probably.
Yeah, for 20
drone stuff. We were shooting some drone stuff, and you're like, "Ooh, let's go up to the where they
the ET house,
the bikes, and these are the houses here, but this is the old development." And you knew all that.
I
stuff.
do. I mean,
all this.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's fun to have access to that kind of stuff around LA. You know what I mean? It's definitely it's good for friends out of town to like, look at this. But you really have to pull it up with the film, with like a still from the film next to it.
Yeah,
because in your head it just looks it's preserved in amber of the 80s, and you're a kid with Kool-Aid and sitting on the shag carpet watching it, and you see it now, and you're like, Huh?
It's kind of smoggy and new.
Or just everything. Yeah. Like,
Is that spackle everywhere?
And you're also in your 40s and your back hurts and you're in a brand new car with GPS. You're like, this. Yeah, I know that's what you think it is. That's right where they filmed it, but that's not how it lives in my mind. My mind is it's in a different place. Like, you're right.
And it's
true.
Yeah. The one of the first places for that that I heard of when we first moved to LA, or when I first moved to LA, was, I mean, other than, Hollywood Boulevard and the Roosevelt Hotel and all that stuff that you see all the time, was the ditch up by the Bat Caves.
Oh yeah.
Up where they filmed like Thrashin'. Mm-hmm. They filmed the scene in Thrashin' where they had the whatever. Joust. What was that? They had like the joust and something. Oh yeah. And then you go back and watch it and like all the smoke machines.
Bronson Canyon, right? That's not what it is.
Bronson Canyon, right? Yeah. I shot so many times at the Bat Caves because the Bat Caves is right by the Bronson Canyon, like the half pipe or whatever.
Yeah, the ditch.
The ditch. And then you just hike up a little bit, and there's this old gravel quarry, and they blasted out a little cave. I guess so there's two caves there. There's like a big one and a little one, but they blasted one out so that I don't know if they did it so that the
whole car would fit in,
so the whole Batmobile would fit in there, or it just existed already. And
I don't know.
But I think they kind of created it partially so the Batmobile could drive in there, and it's still there. And so just on a hiking, I shot like, I don't know, at least 5 bands up there in different, like in the caves. And then the quarry on the other side of the caves is actually very cool. It's a big, huge open area, and there's just like boulders everywhere. It
cool.
looks like you're out in the middle of the desert somewhere.
That's amazing.
And it's right over the hill. Like if you're looking one way, it looks like you're in some desert out in the Mojave, and you look the other way, and it's just mansions on the side of the hill.
Yeah, it's all about
It's so perfectly
it's so Hollywood.
LA.
Yeah, it's a 180 degree view you need. You don't need a 360 view. You never turn the camera around. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Have you ever been up to Vasquez Rocks off the 14? That's another one of those great filming locations. That's close enough to town. Do you know this place?
Oh yeah, up like on the way
to Lancaster or Palmdale. But you pull off and you go in this and it's the rock. You're on Mars. I mean, it's from the original Star Trek. The TOS
Mormon rocks too.
Is that there? Like, but I mean everything. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was there. Austin Powers was there. Once there's great. Edits of everything that's filmed there, and the Flintstones, and then it's like, oh right, you could park. It's one of those nice things you don't really have to hike at all. You literally can drive up to the big rocks, and then when you look at it in movies, you're like, oh wow, they like set up a thing in that parking lot. Like they just took out the porta potty, and then now that's Mars, or that's somewhere, some other
cool
dimension. It's amazing.
Well, especially because the San Andreas Fault runs right through, like right up the at the other end of the two, and so when you get that fault too, you drive on each side of the fault, and it's just like there's certain areas where the fault just runs right through what used to be a mountain.
Oh wow!
And it just like completely like there's a huge shelf going up like 250 feet up, and it's just a shelf of rocks and like that whole Mormon rocks area and everything. Cool. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. Again, I've shot like 3 bands there in the past.
It's great. Yeah, that's what you need to do as a photographer. Like, I have a good backdrop. Just follow me.
God. It's like an hour and 10 minutes from LA.
But it's worth
even that Mount Baldy.
Oh, right.
Did you ever go up to Mount Baldy?
Oh, yeah.
You go up there and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm at a parking lot at like 7,000 feet and I'm an hour and a half from Pasadena. Not even that. 45 minutes from Pasadena, maybe.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It's awesome. LA's the best.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, last week we had Darby Saxbe on, one of LA's greatest minds, professor at USC. Had you heard anything about this? Like, I think I kind of talked about in the intro that I'd been hearing, some of the friends at the pickup were like, oh, I've heard about this book, Dad Brains. And she's been doing lots of great promotion for it and has been out kind of, the work's getting published and getting a lot of great attention, which is awesome. But it's like, I wanted to capture the sort of the roller coaster ride of this thing. I'm like, wow, it sounds cool, but wait, why are we dads aren't supposed to get any attention. No one's supposed to be paying attention to dads. We don't matter. And then it's like, well, you kind of do. And then, really there was the whole idea was that no one else was looking at what happens to dads,
right.
and so it's wide open territory. It's fertile ground for research. And I imagine that's something as a research scientist, you need to, it's hard to, enter a subject that hasn't already been, documented 10 different ways.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I like the way, cause I experienced the same thing when you have young kids and you're a dad and you're rolling the stroller through the mall or whatever. And so, you go to open the door and there's 20 people coming to open it for you. Like, oh my God, I'm going to help you. You have so many bags. Like, what are you doing? And you're like, no, you guys, it's not that miraculous. You're not this is not a miraculous, like, oh my God, this is just so amazing.
The bar is so low for dads to do anything.
The bar is so low. Like that if you are walking, like holding your kid, like, boy, look at that great father. Yeah. But I think there's definitely that double-edged sword. I mean, I guess the biggest one is going on an airplane. Like if you're a dad on an airplane with little kids, like they bend over, everyone bends over backwards to help, like this stewards and the stewardesses and oh my God, can we get you a bigger seat? Can we do? And you see the moms right behind you, like, hey, what the fuck? What's going on? It's ridiculous. What are you talking about?
I'm definitely guilty of being like, wife, 2 kids over on one side, they get those 3 seats, and then I get the aisle seat on the other side. Or just across the aisle. It's like, there's 4 seats. You're not going to put the 2-year-old in his, in his own chair. I'm not going to put the 5-year-old or the 7-year-old there. Well, it's like,
also the kids like mom.
Of course. Yeah. Then I just kind of close my eyes.
Like, no, you guys sit over here with me. And they're like, can we sit? Do we get to sit with mom though? I mean, still now when they're older, they're like, can we go over on mom's side?
Doing?
Like,
I understand.
You can.
Yeah.
I get it. I like her better than me too.
Yeah, there's a reason I married her.
Yeah.
Instead of marrying myself.
There's a reason I didn't stay lonely. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so funny. But I loved, everything, just talking with her and like I think I talked about, like, it was funny meeting her. Shan, my wife, put together a band with like other moms, kind of a mom band, and it was right before the pandemic, and then it kind of bled into that pandemic time too. So just having that sort of community around, but it was cool. I don't know if it was. I think it was formed on a mom sort of group chat sort of thing. There was those groups, or maybe it's a Facebook group that were kind of active in all the moms in particular areas, and it was really fun. It was great. They were such a great group, and I was helped record some stuff for them. And
that was the same group like Erin Althea was?
Exactly. Yeah. She was playing drums.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She bought my drums.
There we go.
In that band.
Yeah.
I had an old drum set that I was trying to get rid of, and she's like, "Are you really trying to get rid of those drums?"
Like,
and
yes.
she bought them and like fixed them up and stuff.
It's great. Yeah. It was awesome. And then in the middle of the interview, Spiral Stairs from Pavement came in. Was that did that turn out okay? I don't know if that made any sense. I don't know if I needed to like,
hey, Randy. You just hear from the background. Very dad thing to do, by the way.
Of course.
Jump into mom's podcast.
Hey, what are you guys doing over there? All right, have fun. I'll talk to you later. Scott and I have been talking about trying to do the podcast. Everyone's like, yeah, whatever you want to do it. And I was very kind of, I know he's busy. He lives in another country and all this different stuff that they're touring. And then he like gave me some shit. He's like, hey, why didn't you invite, why have you asked me to do it? I'm like, I did. What are you like? You're so busy. Don't put this on me like it's my fault. And then since then, there's been three attempts of trying to do it, and then you always just we'll do it later. We'll do it later. So in theory, we're gonna do it later.
Sometimes you just have to take it. You're like, it is my fault.
Right, yeah, it's my fault. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to chat whenever you want to chat. I don't want to bother anybody. But it was fun. So Darby's husband, Dan Long, ran a great studio in Brooklyn in kind of the early aughts, and he recorded a bunch of bands there. And then when they moved out here to LA, he set up a studio in his house. And so he's got a cool studio, and I think he teaches recording at a college level. And so,
that's cool.
So it's really funny that, once I guested on Scott's record, the last record he did, the last Spiral Stairs record, and he said he was in town, and then I went over to this house, and it was Dan's house, and I saw Darby there, like, oh wait, we're the thing, and it was like, what a small world. So yeah, totally funny. So and then we've just kept in touch since then. And then I've been hearing so much about her book and her research and stuff. It's like, wow, okay, Dad's getting shout out. Like, what is going on with Dad's heads, with our bodies and everything? And so it was really, I don't know. I was so curious to see what it all added up to. And it sounds like we're just as big of a mess as anyone else out there in the world.
Well, I think it is very cool, because I think even your conversation, all of the research of parenting is very strange, and in the past, I think it's becoming less strange now and more like, because as you said, like most of the research was being done from a male perspective towards women, right? Like it was like male doctors and going like, well, you just take these pills, and why don't you stop being so depressed? And
right. Yeah, there was
from this moment of like, wow, maybe women are just having these problems. And then now that it's coming from more of a female viewpoint, or just maybe a more broad viewpoint as well, of like people going, oh no, there's actually these like little chemical changes or big chemical changes, and these things that are happening, and it's not just emotional. It could be some emotions, but it's also physical, and what happens when it just seems like there's much more wider ranging perspectives out there for all of this, and like the postpartum stuff and everything. And so it is interesting, because you do think that, like, yes, the baby was not birthed in your body, but
absolutely
there is
not.
there's like a genetic connection. And then there is definitely, like, when you get a baby put into your arms, you're like, oh, this has changed me. Like, I can feel the change of something, whatever that thing is. And it's like emotional, but you have to imagine, like, you can like smell a baby and you go, okay, nothing else smells like that. And that makes me go, we should go just sit down and like, I can hold you for like hours and hours and hours, right? Like there's nothing else that I've ever had this feeling for that. Like a puppy, yeah, maybe like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. But like this baby is like, oh no, you're here forever, and here you go.
There's a lot. It's funny. It's funny how much of it is instantaneous and how much of it is just instinctual in some ways. And also some of it is just blind terror, and you're tired and you just kind of make it work. Yeah. I think there's something at least that was our experience, or my experience was there's like, okay, I know I love you. I know I love, I'm like, okay, I know I can cerebrally, my one part of my brain, I can process this. And then there's just a lizard part of your brain that's just like, here, I hold you now. You're mine. I hold you. And it's like, I don't even know if I'm doing it right, but I want to hold this baby. I need to hold this baby. And, and you're just, and then with the sound of the cry, everything. I've heard all these things where it's like babies are extra cute so that the dads won't try to eat them. It's like some like caveman brain or something. There's this like kind of proportionality of how babies look that was, selected out of, eons to make the babies palatable to dads, in this kind of like brutal, survival instinct thing. But I don't even know if any of that's true. It's just the stuff you hear.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I mean, I do think like even when she was speaking about like going through different cultures and like, well, these other cultures where it is, I know she talked about a specific culture, but I don't remember what it was, but that it was a very group oriented culture, and like no, the kids just exist in the pool of kids. Like that the kids are everybody's kids, and like, yes, it's your kids or whatever, but that's less important than it is like, no, you're getting raised by a whole community and not just like a mom and a dad. And I think that's interesting too, of like of we have a little bit of that sometimes. Like if anybody grew up in a neighborhood that has a lot of families, like your neighbors end up becoming your aunts and uncles and cousins, and they end up like, you end up sometimes, getting along with them on certain issues better than your parents, or, you feel like you can talk to your neighbor better, because they're part of the family.
Or you make the mistake of telling your mom that you like your aunt's cooking better than hers.
Never do that. No. We don't talk about cooking.
It's also incredible. And it's one of those things that I think like everything with being a parent, it does feel so personal that it's hard to really sort of reach out. I think, or it's hard to know, like, does everybody feel this way? Is this just me feeling this way? Like, are we different? Are we the same? And you sort of you try to crowdsource information and things, and everybody's got such different things. I remember early on definitely getting the sense of like, okay, like you really have to just use your own gut, in being a parent. Like everyone's going to tell you a million things, but then you just have to do what you think is right for you in your situation. Like every kid is different. Right. Every situation is different. Every parent's different, especially, in the kind of social media world or everything's online and, must do it this way, or I do it, this is the best thing, the best, crowdsourcing information now on a global, social media scale. It's just like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't know how that works, but you find yourself just trying things. It's a little bit of trial and error, especially when the first kid, just like, okay, this doesn't sound right. Like, sleep training, or you have to do it this way, I have to do it that way. I got a sense early on that it was just like, we're just figuring this thing out. We're just going to kind of do this our own way. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but just, it's like, I had to feel like ownership over whatever decisions we made, whether they're right or wrong. If I were to think like, oh, I messed up, but I read that online, that was the thing to do. Like that felt irresponsible to me. Just be like, I don't know. I saw an Instagram thing about it. Like, so I'm just gonna do that to your kid. Like, I don't know. Like you have to, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, and it like bends your brain because you think that there's one thing to do and there's just not. And also like you think every single little thing is going to affect your kid in some negative, like, oh, if I don't do this, then they're going to become this person that hates me. And there's, all of that too. And you go, well, especially them being older now. And I try to ask them like, oh, don't you remember when we went to this place and, oh my God, we did this whole thing. And they're like, no, nope. Don't remember. You don't remember like the water slides and we spent a whole weekend there and for your birthday. And I'm like,
kind of,
where was it? No, like it was 5 years ago. You were like 12. But even the
good things and the bad things. I mean, it's like, that's part of it. What's nice about it is they remember, they forget everything. And you're like, okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, but here's a movie.
Well, and even moving up to the mountains, I was going to say, and we had that weird year, the COVID year beforehand, and then we moved up here, and then it was still kind of locked down for, the first 8 months or something. And then once we came out of it, all of a sudden they're like mountain kids and we go back and you go, oh yeah. Like even in Altadena, when we lived there, we only lived there for 3 years and almost over a year of it, they were in the house. And then before that, Towns was like first grade and second grade. So he doesn't even really, he remembers our block. And then he remembers like this bike ride that we used to take like around the block with their neighbors. But really before that, I'm like, yeah, but when we lived in Echo Park, he's like, no.
Nothing.
Eagle Rock? Nope. No. Do you remember skateboarding down the street? It's like,
nope.
Not really. Like, oh, but it was so special.
We have photos of it, but I remember it.
Right.
Oh my gosh, so much of it.
But all of those things, and they're so resilient. And I see this like even as a teacher, seeing all these kids come in and like, what is wrong with this kid? And you're like, it says here they're in foster care, whatever. And you go, okay, that explains a lot. But oh my God, how are they getting through even all of this? And they've like moved houses 3 times and done this and done that. And you go, oh, kids are resilient. Mm-hmm. They really are. And it's like for better or for worse, like for worse or, for better, it's like they're made to survive craziness, like things were not so safe even up to like, for most people, like a couple hundred years ago. Right. And so they're made to like survive and move on and forget things and whatever.
That's a good transition into our taxi driver discussion.
Well, this is where I was going
50 years ago.
I was going.
Our summer of 50 years, what do you call it? 1976. We're going to be reviewing films in 1976 this summer, kicking off that series this week with Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
One of the biggest.
Where I was going. I was like, how am I going to get into Taxi Driver with this one?
All right, let's jump into it. So everybody go buy Darby Saxbe's book, Dad Brain. It's
God.
incredible. It's really good. But we will talk.
Yeah, I can't wait. It comes out.
I think it's out now.
Week?
I think it's
June 6th?
I think it's all up for pre-order. I haven't gotten my copy yet.
Pre-orders,
but it's
right.
out. Yeah, but
I think she said June 6th.
Yep,
so
everybody go buy it.
I put it on my pre-order too, and I'm ready to.
Yep.
I'm ready.
We can check in with it through the summer as we go through our films of night. Was it 10 films from 1976, 50 years ago? When did you first see Taxi Driver?
I have no idea.
But you had seen it before.
Yes, okay. I had seen it before, but I remembered like 12% of it.
Okay, of course, yeah.
Because I was like, I didn't know. I definitely.
You talking to me? You talking to me? Must be talking. There's, that's kind of meme like, before a meme part. Or something. Yeah,
I've seen that on a shirt. Sure. No, I remembered that part. I remembered him like kind of starting to freak out and like work out and like, I'm going to fix my body. I'm going to fix my mind. I remembered all that, but I didn't remember why.
Oh.
And then when, as I was watching, I was like, oh, right. He goes to, he sees Sybil Shepherd and then, who looks a lot like Alicia Silverstone.
Oh, that's funny.
Which I was weird. Like later on, I was like, who does she look like? Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it is weird seeing all those people and then knowing them mostly from their later work. So like
totally.
Sybil Shepherd, probably I only knew from Moonlighting.
Oh my gosh. Right.
When I was a kid. Like I had obviously didn't watch Taxi Driver when I was like 12 or whatever, but watching. So then, and then even Robert De Niro, I'm like, I can't see them as like a 25-year-old. I can't see it in my head. Like when he goes like, I'm 26, you're like, there's no way. You're like 47. Like he looks so old to me.
Robert De Niro in this movie?
In Taxi Driver.
Okay.
Just to me, I was like, I can't see him. Everyone else looks young, but I'm like, this is like old guy with all these young people.
Yeah. Let's see. Sybil Shepherd was born in 1950. So she was at 26 in the movie.
So she was 26 at that time. So when was De Niro born?
De Niro.
Probably about the same, right? He might have been 30. Let me guess.
Let's see. Robert De Niro was born in 1943.
Oh, Jesus.
So what is that? 53, 63, 73, 30. 33. And she was 26. Okay. So yeah.
So I was too wrong. I'm like, you look 40. You don't look 26.
Well, different people age at that time. Yeah. I mean, it's I think it's interesting, putting in that place in time. I think it's very much a 1976 film. I had to think about, Hollywood, moves in phases. This is the auteur sort of American young director sort of cycle. Almost the end of that, right? That's sort of what we get the end of the 80s when you get the blockbusters. We're right in between Jaws and Star Wars, and so the young, kind of from 69 till 76 is sort of the Mavericks, the young new Hollywood sort of young director auteurs coming in. It's the end of the studio system, the big studio musicals and those sort of things. And pre Michael Eisner, Katzenberg blockbuster, big hits every summer, big action movies, we didn't really have those things, like all the stuff of the 80s. This is sort of the tail end of that. What's it called? Raging Bulls and did you ever read this book? Yeah, it's a great.
I know what you're talking about.
It's a great book. Yeah, kind of. It's Lucas, Coppola, Spielberg, De Palma, Scorsese. This kind of the new school of that era. Rhinestone, was it Raging Bulls and Midnight Cowboys? Is that what the book's called? Something like that.
Drugstore Cowboys?
No, that'd be after. That's
Raging Bulls.
Anyway,
that's right.
But yeah. So 76. Yeah. It's also, we're just outside of Watergate, right? That's right. 73. I kind of took some notes in terms of like context of where the country was at. Cause it's so dark in the beginning and it's about washing away the dirt and it's about, clean it needs a cleaning. The soul needs, it's just everything's so dirty. So it's 2 years after Watergate and it's 1 year after America withdraws from Vietnam. So, okay. I mean, if you look at like the disenfranchisement, the disbelief of whatever the American dream was, whatever the 60s, the hippies, sort of the burnout of peace and love, the summer of love, 69.
Yeah.
And the government's, spying on you, the government's full of shit and they're sending people to die in Vietnam and they just withdrew without winning, kind of, more or less, all of the soldiers coming home. and being spit on, and this kind of, the country really coming apart at the seams. And, I think there's something relatable to that, obviously not to the degree that is, that was seen at the time, but, we're country kind of coming apart at the seams now in 2026. I think there's something interesting politically, and that people just not believing in the government, really following a leader. And it's interesting because the whole thing's about this one, the guy running for president, and how we are the people, the catchphrase. And it's like, okay, this isn't, here he is dealing with kind of the street level grime and blood and everything else in his cab, and he wants to believe in something. He wants the world to be clean. He wants to think that he can one person can make a difference, right? And I think that's kind of that's sort of just setting it up like, well, why is that so important? Why is this theme? What world is he speaking to? What time was this made for? And so if you think about that, post Watergate, post Vietnam, it sort of seems to make sense.
Well, and that would also mean that it was written during Vietnam still, because it wasn't written in 76,
no.
Right? Like it came out in 76, which means it was probably shot in 75.
Oh, yeah. You don't know about the script writer for this and for everything?
No, I don't know about the script writer. I didn't look up any. I was going to, and I'm like, I need to come to this like as completely like, this is what I think, but I didn't look up anything because even at the end, I'm like, oh, I should look up. And I'm like, no. I'm going to ask Randy.
So the script is incredible. So it's Paul Schrader, who's made a lot of films, who's gone on to direct his own films. He's worked with Scorsese after he did Raging Bull. He did Last Temptation of Christ. He did Bring Out the Dead. He is, sort of the best example of the angry lone man. He wasn't too different in his personal life than Travis Bickle was. He was sort of, and all the voiceover stuff, that's always a cop out in film to have voiceover, but it's done in such a way, and it's really straight from Paul Schrader's head, more or less. I think he was broke and he was trying to figure out a career, and he was sitting up at night on a typewriter with a bottle of Jack and a revolver next to his typewriter, with no money, drunk, maybe coked out, and just writing this paranoid sort of angry young man manifesto. That was not far from his own life and straight from his own head. For better or worse. I mean, there's a lot of that could be really bad, but I think that script given to Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro at that time, Scorsese's a film scholar and film critic, probably number one. From up until that point, he was teaching film at NYU, so he was a student at NYU, and then he went on to teach film and film theory. And has this whole sort of like, he's a film historian, he's a documentarian, he's all these things. And so him kind of carving his own career, he is loading the screen with, French New Wave, with classic, American cinema, with noir. He's got the whole gamut. It's all in his head. His head, he's a living, encyclopedia film. So getting this kind of paranoid angry young man script, he was able to load all that in, all the and the slow motion and the jazz, and really create a setting and a place and time with all the smoke. Script's and crazy.
I feel like the beginning of it was very like the cinematography, and again, I didn't look up the cinematographer or anything, but the cinematography was also like very kind of like over. It didn't really fit the rest of the movie, but it was
the beginning.
Very
you mean just
dreamy.
The credits in the very beginning?
Yeah, just super dreamy, overlaid. There was all that, like the colors are super heightened at the very beginning and at the very end. Like when he and it comes up with my theory, which I'm sure, I mean, obviously this is like, people are going to laugh and go, yeah, you've never read anything about this movie ever.
No, that's okay. That's part of the conversation. That's why it's fun to.
But that it made me, because I was like, why the fuck is the beginning of this movie so bright and colorful? And then it goes instantly desaturated. And the whole movie is very colorful, but desaturated, the whole thing. And it's very like lowly lit, and which makes sense because it's dark. Everything happens at night, mostly for the most part, other than the politician stuff. But then at the end, he gets back into the car with Sybil Shepherd and all that stuff. and because a little tangent, I was watching it and I had to watch it like 3 different times.
I should have given you a warning. This is not a kid's movie. This is not one to watch with.
No. I knew
that.
I knew that.
Yeah.
But I had to watch it. I was, Michelle and I were, she's like, oh, I haven't watched that in a while. We started watching it and I was so tired.
Yeah.
That we'd like watched the first like 40 minutes and I was like, oh my God, some of this is so slow. And I was starting to fall asleep. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to table it. I'm going to watch the rest in the morning. So then I got up in the morning and started watching the rest, but I only had enough time to watch I had 20 minutes left.
Oh yeah. That's hard.
So I watched this amount till the kids got up and we were going to soccer and doing all that. Then I was like, well, I have to watch the rest of this. So I was like sitting in the car watching like the end of it on my phone.
Oh, no.
Right. Yeah. And it was so dark and I couldn't see. And then it was like, the guns and he goes in and shoots Harvey Keitel and does the whole thing. And there's the guy gets his hand blown off.
Yeah.
And it instantly was like, oh, right. This is also at this moment where they're still coming out of like B movies and like, this isn't a huge budget. So there has to be this like, oh, we got to have the gunfight. This is like the Western part. Like,
yes.
Well, hold on. This is just in my thoughts. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, well, now it's the gunfight and they're doing all this stuff and he's going to save the girl. You have that trope too. Mm-hmm. Like I'm going to save the girl and she's upstairs in the castle. And, is very much like, oh, this is like a traditional movie, but then you kind of have a young director and a young man directing that's like, we still need the vibe, like we still need the like, come on, let's go, this is like the gunfight. He didn't get to use his guns on the politicians, so now but then I watched it and then he does the thing with his head and three shots
finger guns like he's killing himself
and then it fades out or whatever and then I had to go.
Right,
so then hold on, so then I go and I'm like, oh, that's so crazy, it just ended with him dying. But then I was like, wow, it still says there's 10 minutes. So then I got home and then right before the podcast I'm like, well, I should at least watch the last 10 minutes. And then it's the letter being read by the family and all this. And I was like, wait, what? What happened? What's going on? And then he's talking to the cab guys again. And for a second I was like, there's no way.
This isn't real.
Wait, there's no. There's no way. And then he gets in the cab, and then it's Sybil Shepherd, which kind of also makes no sense.
No,
and like
it's almost
right. It makes no sense. Yeah. So then I'm sitting there going, why would he do? He wouldn't do this. This whole movie, why would he do this? And then the little flash, and then the lights go super bright, and and all the colors are like red and blue and green. I was like, oh, it's a dream. Like this is him in his coma, or he's dead, or something. And then I was like, oh, now the beginning part with the really bright lights makes sense too.
And the bookends.
It's all this is the American dream.
I like it. Yeah.
This is like the American dream starts at this bright, like, no, it's fine. We can all do it. We can all do this. We can come together. It's going to be bright. It's the city lights. We've got so much going for us. And then everything goes dull. And then in the middle, it's like, no, there's this optimism. Like you said, he has this optimism. But what the main thing for me throughout the whole thing was that like, he's talking about the grime. He's talking about clearing the streets. We got to get the grime off, blah, blah, blah. He's really talking about himself. Mm-hmm. He's really talking about his feelings. He's talking about how he feels because he feels left out of society. He feels, why can't he just get it together? Why can't, you don't know anything that much about his you just know about him right now. And he feels, and so he's going to take life into his own hands, which is a total Batman theme, right? This is the superhero theme.
Yep,
like,
vigilante.
I'm going to just do it.
I'm
going to do it
myself. Judge, jury, executioner.
And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use the law and I'm not going to use these things. I'm going to clean up the streets of yourself. But really then he just becomes part of the problem because he becomes like almost, killing the president or whatever, or the guy who's running for president. And then he starts shooting. He kills all these other people and gets in a gunfight, and that the whole theme, which I think is still going on now, is that even with the politician, him coming and constantly going, it's about you. It's about the people. It's about like, we're going to get this thing cleaned up. If you just support me, we're going to get this thing cleaned up. But really, it's just poor people fighting themselves. And every time he tries to go like, no, I'm going to get that guy at the top, it just can't happen. Like he keeps getting stopped, and he keeps getting like people go in front of him, or people like he can't do it. And then he's like, well, I guess at least I'll try to clean up this one block, or not even a block, this one building I'll clean up. And it ends up being like showing that all of the, lower, like the class consciousness, like there's no class consciousness. And I actually was listening to an interview with a guy, I don't even know who it was, this week, and he was talking about the constant like that the politicians, media, whatever you want to say, as like, as long as they don't talk about class, no one realizes that they're in the like quote unquote lower class, or that everyone in the US thinks that they're just one step away.
There's the rich and the yet to be rich.
Yeah, always. And it's not like, no, you guys, there's not a one step away. Even if you're one step away, the step just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it really was the time of, no, we can all just get our bodies better, and we can eat better, and we can, if we're just healthy, we can do it. And you go like, not if we don't get all together at the same time and stop just worrying about like making our muscles. Because and I do think that's what now, with the kind of culture of like, whatever this,
the manosphere,
mogging, the mogging, and the like, we're gonna like, we can just lift weights, and that's gonna like make the country better or whatever. Like if we just have
make America healthy again.
Totally. And this whole like, no, it's about self-determination. You're like, well, a little bit, but you should be, the self-determination should be
to vote these fuckers out and vote and actually get a government that works for you. That's what I'm determined to do.
Also to get yourself in a room with a million other yourselves and work together to make sure that whatever's happening now stops.
Never again.
And doesn't happen anymore,
Yeah.
But I thought it was, I thought it was great. I thought it was like there was a lot of that. And then even when the politician was making his speech right in front of the old statue with the hands up, and they had the hands up, I thought that was a constant like, oh, that's like the cinematic shot that's telling you, guys, it's never changing. Like here's a statue from however many like it's probably 100-year-old statue, but then it's also based on like a Greek statue or something. It's based on something that's 1,000 or 2,000 years old, if history is even correct.
Right.
Well, we don't know if.
But
anyway, seeing those hands, I'm like, oh my god, this is so brilliant.
The echo.
This is so good.
The echo chamber.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. Well, there's even I wrote it down. A return to greatness was the political campaign slogan. There's the we are the people, not we are the people. We are the people. But there's, there says, return to greatness in there. You're like, of course. Yeah. Make everything great again. Can we make it, can this be great?
As if it ever was.
Yeah. Let's have a return to greatness. No, it's incredible. I think I think you're right on with like that dream, thing, and the last thing tacked on at the end, like how it all worked out. And then he's like, hey, and he's so cool, so like whatever. He's never been that like confident, and she gets in the cab like, hey, how you doing? But he's practicing everything is performative. Everything's practiced in the mirror, which I think again was also very much, I see shades, shadows, if not direct influence in the social media idea of, the phone's really being this dark narcissistic mirror. Every time you look in the phone, you're just looking back at yourself. But everybody, prancing and performing. You're talking to me, all this tough guyness is exactly, what we see today, with a lot of this kind of toxic masculinity being promoted through social media channels and things, performative sensitivity, all the performative masculinity, all these things, right? It's
performative.
It's how you appear in the mirror that's important. In the same sort of way that his loneliness, is very, about the men's loneliness epidemic, it's kind of happening now, but his loneliness is always shown that he can witness happiness through the screen and the TV. And when he finally kicks the TV over, that's really the break. He's no longer interested in witnessing like fake happiness anymore. He's going to go out and do something about it. But it's always cutting to him watching, porno movies in the theater or weird TV things, and or
like couples dancing.
Right. Yeah. With those missing shoes. They're just the lonely shoes after he kills the guy.
The lonely shoes.
He's like, that guy's not here on American Bandstand. There's somebody missing in this thing because he's killed. He took somebody out. And now that's
I forgot he killed the guy in the deli. Right.
It's a huge break. It's because it goes from who he thinks he's being, and then it happens and he's like nervous. He doesn't know what to do and he just does it, and doesn't know I don't have a permit for this. I can't actually take responsibility for my actions. I just did something horrible. Right. And the guy covers for him and kind of gives him permission. Like, thank you. You're, not necessarily you're a hero, but kind of, he was, and that's so often what we hear, you want a good guy with a gun instead of a bad guy with a gun, this kind of vigilante sort of thing. He's sort of redeemed in some ways, but it's all so brutal. And that's when the shopkeeper just starts beating the guy. His body's already dead. It just feels so just disgusting. It's like, this is not right. This wasn't good at all, and then he's on to the next thing. It's sort of, that's his real, like, okay, I was allowed, to get away with murder, literally. And then what happens next? How far can this go? Right. And then he sees Martin Scorsese, the director cameo. I don't know if I'm sure you caught that.
I didn't catch it.
The guy who tells him, that's my wife up there. And uses derogatory terms, but you see that that's my wife up there. I'm going to kill her. Have you ever seen what a face looks like when a 45 goes through it? Do you ever see what a bullet does to a body? And it kind of romanticizes all this violence, and that's so another sort of breaking point for him. Like, oh, this introduces this idea, I guess the more thing was before. That's sort of what plants the idea of the gun, and then he buys the gun and then kills the guy. But as you sort of see, it's really, it's a step by step, not necessarily tutorial, but it's a step-by-step map for a person, being succumbed to paranoid, psychosis, violence, all these sort of things. It's sort of, and it's so unfortunate that we've seen this, time and time again in the aftermath of that, in terms of just what would make a man do this, where, how would it happen? And the film, every scene is showing him, defending himself against, keeping himself straight, but he can't quite get past it, and he's pushed, or he feels as though he's being pushed further. There's that great thing with the 20 that Harvey Keitel throws at him, the crumpled 20. Did you see this? And then he at the end of the night, he doesn't know what to do with it. He's like, I don't want to take this guy's money, but then he does, but he can't, it's the symbol of this thing. And at the end, he gives it to the guy and tells him, this is yours, keep it. Because he did, that was that innocence. He's like, that's where Jodie Foster first comes on his sort of radar. She gets in the car and he could have driven her away, but he takes the money instead. But he feels bad about the money, and that's where it shifts from the politician and Sybil Shepherd. He's able to then sort of like turn his gaze to this other person. I don't know. I mean, it's so many symbols, that crumpled 20, he keeps trying to figure out what to do with it. He doesn't know what to do. And he sees it when he says the guy, you owe me $5. You have that 5? And he's going through all his money. He sees that crumpled 20 and he's like, okay, I'm going to keep that. I'm not yet. That like there's a meaning to it. He knows what he's going to do with that.
Right. And it shows I liked how you said his innocence, because there is like a full innocence to the whole thing of him feeling like, or saying it shouldn't be like this. Like, why is it like this?
Yeah.
And being innocent where, when he talks to Harvey Keitel is obviously like, oh, hey, this is the way it is. It's, what are you even talking about? Why would you even think that innocently? Like, this isn't how life is. Like, life is brutal, and it's whatever. But all of those, like the Harvey Keitel and Jodie Foster scene is like so
brutal,
uncomfortable.
It goes
like,
on so long. It goes.
Oh my God. There were a lot of like when De Niro and Keitel meet for the first time and they're just staring at each other. I was like, and he just keeps like looking back at him and he's like,
"What'd you call me?" Yeah,
wait.
yeah. I'm just joking. I'm just playing.
And I'm like, is this going for like 5 minutes? Like you just don't see scenes like that. That's just kind of uncomfortable where you almost feel like, was it supposed to cut earlier? And they just kind of kept going like, this is too uncomfortable. Like, this is so good.
Well, that's
like the two of the actors going like,
you want to kill.
Oh no, I feel this. Like, I want to kill you. Like, no, I want to kill you. No, I want to kill you, but we can't. But we know we want to.
Yeah.
But like, we're just gonna stare at each other, and we're both like really skinny, like cut, really skinny. And then when he walks away, I'm like, oh, that's like that. Like De Niro is what everybody who I knew who lived in New York looked like in the early 2000s.
That's what they wanted to look like. Yeah.
Those every jeans, single person.
Yeah. Oh my God, that jacket. Yeah, no, it's so remarkable. But it does a thing, that idea of wanting to get out of it when he's talking to Sybil Shepherd after their fight or after, she runs away from him, rightfully so. He's talking on the phone, on the payphone, and it's this beautiful kind of setup, there's it triangles up, there's three things on the wall, small, medium, and large, and it's him talking on the phone. And then the camera just moves off of him down into the hallway, into this like third dimension, because it's flat of just him on the wall. And then in the middle of this conversation, the camera's like, I can't take it anymore. Like, you as the audience, like, you just want to stop. He's like, but he's like, why aren't you gonna, come on, I'll take you somewhere else. You want to go to a different movie? Okay. I know you're sick, but I sent you flowers. I did this, I did that. Come on. He's trying to do it, and then it's just the audience, it's like the camera is the audience. It's just like, okay, we got to get going here, and it just moves away from him, and you still hear him, but it's like, we can't stand looking at this anymore, and it just moves.
Desperate.
But it opens up this longer hallway and kind of interiority, where you're going deeper into the screen, and then he walks down that hallway off into something else. So there's this, again, it's that kind of the camera as the audience of just like, oh no, that uncomfortability that's throughout the whole thing, and it's how much do you see of his eyes and when do you see him, and it's like through his eyes, he's the hero. He's seeing all the bad stuff. But when then we have the opportunity to view him, it's with revulsion or, it's like, oh, this is just too uncomfortable looking at him. It just doesn't look right. But it's this strange dichotomy of viewer and viewee. You know what I mean? You're looking at him, and it's what an interesting face. I mean, he holds the screen. This was De Niro before De Niro. And it's beautifully shot. The film grain, the colors. That's
so good.
With the desaturation idea. Originally, it wasn't color timed that way. It wasn't so desaturated, but the blood at the end was like fire engine, like orange almost, and it was going to get an X rating. And so that they desaturated, especially at the end, because it was so much blood. But and he couldn't take that scene out because that's so much of the movie. It's the climax, and so they timed it, and they took the color out of it, and then resubmitted it, and then it passed. So it wasn't X rating.
Wow.
So that's one of the reasons why it's so dark and why that color
so
comes and goes. So they could play with that idea now.
Oh, interesting.
Play with the color.
Okay.
Also want to give a shout out, Marcia Lucas, George Lucas's first wife, edited this film. She just recently passed. There's all kinds of stuff about Marcia Lucas. I mean, she really made Star Wars 1, A New Hope. She really put the heart into that. She edited it, and she was the heart that was missing from the prequels. And she's also the reason why they have these specialized editions, because in some way George was trying to take his own vision. He wanted to recut her thing because they were no longer married, and felt that if he recut her cut, that's why you can't, supposedly, again, this all may be rumor, conjecture, allegedly, you can't find the original edits, the original versions of those first 3 films because she edited those. And they divorced after those films, and she got quite a bit of money in the divorce, and maybe he's bitter, or maybe it's not his vision. He wants to feel like he's more the author of it than not her, even though she's on record, and everyone gives her the credit for really adding the heart and the characterizations and the people and the excitement. And you look at, the prequels. And there's very wooden performances, very flat performances, and not all the excitement is there. It's kind of a boring.
Do you have the original version?
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah. I have them on VHS. Yeah. I don't have. So then the Holy Grail then becomes, but they don't have them in 4K, and supposedly they do have them. Or Topher Grace made a cut, or somebody made. Oh no, Topher Grace made the original. He tried to make the Phantom Menace watchable, but no, they're out there. The despecialized versions are out there online, but only as a bootleg. There's no official, even the Disney has it. There's a thought that next year, 2027, they'll be doing something at the Sphere, or maybe there's a new Sphere opening up in New Jersey, or one of these big things that they'll be doing a big 50-year thing with original things, but up-resed. And I don't know, watch the space for more information on that one. But just Marsha Lucas edited the movie. So, and she just passed away.
I mean, the editing was amazing. The cinematography was amazing. Right. Yeah. Like, there just were not any. There just weren't any bad shots.
It was beautiful. And
I mean, there were some things where I was like, if this was made now, this would definitely not be as slow.
Sure.
And these, like, there's a lot of like
lingering.
People had much more time,
attention.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, also, I mean, the whole thing, with the end really is the sex scene, right? It's like, the climax of the thing, but there's no sex really in it, for as dirty as it all is. He's this kind of, incel or some type of, sort of, and he talks about, in the beginning, he was honorably discharged in 1973, the guy who's taking down his thing, is like, will you mess with me? Why are you giving me such a hard time? Why are you messing with me? And then he tells him I was a Marine. He's like, I was a Marine. He said, honorably discharged in 1973, most likely insinuating or indicating that he was part of Vietnam. And he's a Vietnam veteran coming back
because it would be 73
PTSD. Now here we are 3 years later of him trying to get back into reality, and he can't sleep, again, the PTSD kind of thing. He just rides around subways and might as well get paid for it because he has the insomnia. He can't sleep. He can't be alone. He can't be by himself. And so he wants a job where he can just drive around and, just be awake all the time.
And then no sleeping will drive you crazy.
Yeah. Like a dad, like parents, like new parents. Yeah.
And back then it was called shell shock.
Right.
It wasn't even PTSD,
exactly.
Right? Like shell shock, like it was very specific to war.
Right. But they didn't have that kind of, again, just what would be different, hopefully there'd be services in some way, or there'd be somebody looking out for them, but that isn't always the case either. I mean, the veterans still have a hard time in receiving services and receiving, everything that they should after going through the horrors of what they've seen. So I think there's a lot in there, but he doesn't have sex. He doesn't know about sex. He sees it through these movies. He doesn't know how to do it. He knows he wants something, but he doesn't know what it is. He's all messed up with it. So the violence and the gun, I mean, which, it's a very well documented sort of metaphor of this sort of thing, like the big gun with the biggest one. It's like that's his surrogate dick, right? I mean, that's his phallic symbol, now he has power, and it really cuts almost right in the midway point in the film. It really turns into the thing once he gets the guns, then he gets the power, and now he's on a different journey of like observing everything to now training and doing something about it. And this kind of the trajectory of the story changes right in the midway point. And it's all about gearing up and how's he going to do it and what's he going to do. And it's almost this kind of fetishistic sort of pornographic, displays of guns, and he's going to make the thing and he's going to load it into his arm, and he's got the thing on his boot and he does it here and he does it there. And it's a kind of masturbatory performative sort of thing of him playing with guns, and the thing, but I think there's something that's really obviously, I'm sure not intentional, or maybe intentional, but not for the outcome. But this was something that was seen as like a heroic or allegoric or, wish fulfillment for young men who, again, are frustrated. I can't have sex, teenagers, young men, young adolescent boys. And they think, if I get a gun, or this kind of trying to get that power and that violence. And when he talks with Jodie Foster, who is, supposed to be 12 and a half in the film, it's like now he's talking to an equal. It's like he didn't know really how to talk to Betsy, Sybil Shepherd. Like he was kind of in a weird dream state or saying all these things. He's picking up energy, feelings, things. But like when he talks to Jodie Foster, it's like they're on the same page, they're on the same like emotional level. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so much of this movie really does feel like a young man allegory or just young man story. This is the story of
Right.
that frustrated adolescence and trying to figure out how to become an adult, how to have your own power, how to fight against, the bad that you see in the world and justify living in a world that's not black and white. This isn't heroes and villains. It is this gray area, and still feeling as though you have agency in that world. You can affect change in some ways, but I think it's a big thing. And I think, that's a lot of what, when we see these assassins. I was making notes of when, there was the John Lennon assassination in 1980 and then the Ronald Reagan assassination in 1981, that came right after these, I think in some way have, a relationship to this film, and this kind of angry lone gunman thing. And even the book, it reminds me so much of the book Catcher in the Rye, that feels like this is, kind of at the heart. And that was in 1951. That was 20 years before this. But that idea of that frustrated adolescent kind of trying to get out there, or worse, that whole thing. Holden Caulfield sees someone scrolled "fuck" on a wall and wants to erase that, so his little sister never has to see that again. Like, how could the world be so terrible that this happens? That someone could just do such a thing like that? And it's like, it's within himself, right? That's, I think you were calling on it too. It's like, this is all a metaphor for himself. Control. Exactly.
Well, and I think, and I see it with like young boys at school, that one of the things like with the middle school kids is they love to, like, they latch onto each other, the boys.
Oh yeah.
They hug and they're like holding hands and like as friends, and they're like leaning on each other and jumping on each other. And like the adults, and I'm not saying the adults at our school, but like adults in general, or a lot of our first thoughts, I guess, as in like a masculine world is like, hey, what are you doing? Hugging each other? Whatever. Like, they're like, oh, come on, what are you doing? Playing around. And what I've noticed is that I did not expect that. I didn't expect like, oh, these boys are so like emotional to each other, and they're such good friends, and they hug each other, and like that gets like beat out of them, not physically, but always, maybe, but like mentally, like, no, boys aren't like that.
Yeah.
Like,
physical touch.
Once you get testosterone, you got to be tough, and now you're going to tackle each other on a football field. Like we're not gonna like, we're gonna hug each other that way, but it's only through sport and competition and and I'm like, I don't know. You go to other countries and no, it doesn't get mentally beat out of them, right? Like, the dudes like hang out and snuggle on a chair together and talk, and in a very platonic friend way, right?
Yeah.
The same way that like a lot of women do now, that it's totally normal and everything. That's very normal with boys, young boys. And with this whole like, we have to be ourselves, and it's about
isolation,
it's about me taking care of the world and all of that. Like, I think that's a very, like, I don't know if it's capitalistic, but it's definitely something that is fostered in a very capitalistic society of like, you need to get out there and you need to do it yourself, and you need to take control, and you need to win, and you need to. And I think that does not do young boys any service.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any way of communicating. I mean, you've seen it. Like, we all got into music. We all got into, like, some kids get into sports. And this is honestly at seeing our kids getting into sports. And I was into sports, but then I kind of stopped. But seeing that of like, no, these boys are like really emotional towards each other, and they like they go through these journeys together and have this sports team, and they come together when they lose or when they win. And that's one thing. But music, I think, was, for you, me later, you earlier, and like finding all these people where you're like, you jump around in a pit with a bunch of mostly dudes at that point. Mostly young men, or even getting on stage and going like, I'm going to like just jump around and be like crazy and free and get all this energy out, and hopefully all the other people will feel this way and we can connect that way. But then you go walk out on your own. Wow, but we can't hug each other.
but I'm going to jump on your head. I'm going to punch you in the back. Totally. I'm going to kick you, and I'm going to hold you up, and we're going to get sweaty on each other. Yeah,
there's these ways of like coming together and like
intimacy, physical intimacy. Totally. Like, what does that even look like? And and
knowing that the people around you have your back and are supporting you, and you're supporting them, and whether it's through music or sports or whatever, art or any other, work. I don't know, works like that for a lot of people, but then you don't get that physical, intimate like thing, and then people have to hold it in their whole life, and then all of a sudden all this stuff comes out. Whatever's happening now.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of pent up needs for hugs. Honestly. Yeah.
I mean, Travis Bickle is the poster child for needed a hug. I think he could. Yes. But I think it's an interesting film. Obviously, I mean, we're not saying anything new that hasn't been said before, but in that 50-year sort of cycle, to look at what's changed, what's the same, what are we still dealing with, what has this influenced, I think there's a lot that was said, and I don't know if anything's really been done on that same sort of level. You know what I mean? I think this was definitely, this is in those 100 greatest films, maybe top 10 greatest films for a reason, but it's hard to watch, and it's dirty, and it's yellow, and it's smoky, and it's steamy, and it's gross, and all those things. But it's just like, ooh, that's like art. Is that moment that's what the friction you want. That's where that all happens. And to see the careers that they've all gone on to have, and Robert De Niro and Scorsese and Harvey Keitel and everybody, they even do that. Like, there was something in there too, like, you're funny. You're funny. And I was like, oh, that just echoes from the Goodfellas. Do I amuse you? How am I funny? Yeah. Funny how? Funny how? What do you mean? Those things would be answered and kicked around, and even the Italianness of it. You're always like, oh yeah, the Italian guys, they cut off your fingers if you do that kind of thing. Because he talks about it, he's like, how would you light a match if you weren't missing his fingers? And you see the guys with his fingers blown off, and you see, there's just so much symbolism and just great storytelling. It's visual storytelling. But it's just so it's verbal storytelling as well, and that kind of mix of all of it in there together. It's something. 50 years.
Well, also bicentennial.
Right.
That was like 20 or 1976.
Exactly.
So that's like the 200 years of America. Like, yep, there you go. That's one viewpoint.
Yeah.
That probably is the most honest viewpoints than many of the 1976 viewpoints of what America was like for, what America led up to for the next was going to be for the next 50 years, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. No, and I even wrote down too, JFK was assassinated in 1963. So this is 13 years after that. You have Dirty Harry in 1971. So we're 5 years after that first Dirty Harry, the idea of the big magnum, the man with the big gun, this kind of, the emulation of that. And then you have, like I mentioned, the attempted assassination on Ronald Reagan, John Hinckley, said, was say that he wanted to get the attention of Jodie Foster. Right. And so that's, the echoes of this impact of this film, of seeing Jodie Foster and the attempted assassination of a political figure, that he shot Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan didn't die, but Ronald Reagan got a bullet in the gut. Right. And that was in 1981, but John Lennon was killed in 1980, and his assassin was holding a copy of Catcher in the Rye. So these types of men and this kind of, I think the film hit a chord, and whether it influenced or was a reflection of what was being out there, or what would, and then you go on to all these horrible school shootings and all these other mass shootings and these kinds of things, that it's one man with a gun does change things. Even look at a Mario, or what's his Luigi Mangione, and these kinds of things. You're like, it's sad, but it's been part of our national narrative for a long time. We see that, and I think this is not glorifying, I wouldn't think, but I think there is a point of view to it. And this is obviously, it's been emulated. This film has had a huge, cultural impact on so many levels, especially on other filmmakers. You look at something like Fight Club, I feel is definitely dialed in here, of young men, shaving their heads and not wearing shirts, and violence, and other, rolling around on the floor with other shirtless men. And that sort of sex as violence. And then, and then something like The Joker, is like almost outright that's this film meets Kings of Comedy meets, DC, but it looks like, it was filmed like in 70s New York. Somehow they were able to put Joaquin Phoenix, without putting in that time. Everything looks exactly like that. I mean, you can almost go shot for shot, of him in the in the locker room, and him getting the gun, and him over here, the colors and everything. It's like, okay, yeah, this is obviously, it's a Taxi Driver is felt and across the decades of cinema in so many different ways and across culture. So what are we looking at?
Not much is changing.
No, I know, right? Oh, what are we looking at next week?
By the way, for conspiracy, the look up the fact that the Bushes and the Hinckleys were friends.
Oh no.
The Bush family and the Hinckley family. Just saying. Just putting that out there. Anyway.
Yeah. What do we have? What are we going to watch next week? Did we pull it up here? What do we have here?
I feel like you had the list.
Did I not? Okay. I didn't send it to you.
Oh, you probably did. Oh my God. Hold on. Let me look.
No, maybe I didn't. Let's see. I'll find it here. Oh no. Wait.
I think you did. Hold on.
Oh wait, maybe I have it on my phone. Maybe that's why I didn't have it on there. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. 1976. Okay. Rocky. How about that as a palate cleanser?
Ooh.
You want to watch the first
Rocky one?
First Rocky. Written by Sylvester Stallone, directed by John Avildsen, who would go on to direct Karate Kid. Do you have that?
I did not know that. Have you run those stairs?
I've not run them. Well, I jogged a little bit. The Philadelphia Art Museum.
I've gone up them.
It's great. Yeah, I went up them. Yeah, they had the statue up top, I think, for like the third movie or fourth movie, and then now the statue's down at the bottom. Did you take a picture with the statue?
Okay.
I took a picture with the statue. There's a Rocky Balboa statue.
Probably. There's probably just one somewhere.
Yeah. Did you know he got the name from driving on the 405 and seeing Balboa exit there in the valley, like Lake Balboa?
Yes.
And that's where he got the name from.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Rocky Balboa.
And
I'm Rocky Balboa.
Yeah. And he could have made more money if he wasn't in it, because he wrote it, and then we got bigger offers, but he bet on himself. So
yeah, I feel like it worked out.
Yeah, it launched a whole.
Then we can watch Cliffhanger next. Did you know that that stair shot was the advent of the Steadicam?
Oh, amazing!
The people created the Steadicam to do that shot.
There we go. Now we know.
So they could run up the
stairs.
It was the first Steadicam shot, and they could run up the stairs with him, and at that point,
jiggle
all
around,
the filmmakers
and bounce around.
Yeah, because you just couldn't do it, and so they made like the three axis, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And when it was going up, the filmmakers and cinematographers were like, "Wait, what?" Because this isn't a crane. It was going from a shot. Like, there's no way. Like, we don't know how this is done. Yeah, there's a cool kind of YouTube documentary about it. It's very cool.
Fun.
But this is like massive machine, with all these things that they're building, like with the
counterweights and balance.
Yeah, counterweights.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they're running up and down those stairs. But
amazing.
All right, Rocky.
There we go. Okay, Rocky. Next week, everybody, watch Rocky. Write in. Let us know what you thought. Hyphenate halftime@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram @Randy S. Randall. Aaron Farley is @Aaron Farley. And let us know what you think. What other films are you excited about on the list from 1967? What else do you think has changed in 50 years? 1976. Oh my God. 6, 7, 6. All right.
Dead brain.
I'm going to bed. All right. Bye.